personal branding is a very, very difficult subject for many of us to figure out who we are, what our place is in the world, what our really our attributes are that we can make the best of. So I'm really happy to have someone with me today that's going to take us through a bit more about personal branding, talk to us a bit about what branding is, and essentially give us an opportunity to learn more about what we have to do to go about branding ourselves. So let me welcome Hugo Amorim. Hugo is the brand strategist and principal of the Brand Pendulum company, and it's Brand Pendulum is the name of his company, brandpendulum.com. He's located in Massachusetts. And Hugo, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks.
We're glad you're here. If you could do me a favor and just talk just a little bit about your background, and then I have a bunch of questions for you about branding and personal branding.
Sure. I'm the brand strategist and principal here at Brand Pendulum. Brand Pendulum is a strategic. We bring strategic insight and great design to help businesses effectively tell their story in a compelling way so that they stand out in the marketplace. But most importantly, my experience with branding has been I started early learning graphic design, and just my last job it took me through a lot of experiences through branding and building companies from the ground up, anywhere from their logo to their website to any kind of marketing material that they needed. So that is my background.
Okay, well, you mentioned their logo, so I want to start with that. And you and I have had this conversation in previous discussions. So many people think branding is coming up with a logo. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
Well, logo is one component of the brand, but a brand in essence, it's everything. It's the core unified message behind that company. It's the idea about that company. So when you have a logo is just one piece of the facet. A brand in general, it consists of two facets, both the visual and then the non-visual portion of it. When you're talking about just a logo, it only explains one section. People often think, well, I need a brand, I need a logo. A brand isn't a logo. A brand is just a portion of, a logo is just a portion of a brand.
Okay. So on page 69 of his book, we have a shot here of a chameleon. And Michael Port has distinguished yourself from everyone else. So
yes.
Tell us a bit about what branding does to distinguish ourselves, meaning, if I'm a professional, if I'm going into business for myself, what branding does to distinguish ourselves from everyone else.
So what it makes, how it helps you stand out is that it creates it creates loyalty, and much like marketing where it's like push, branding is a little bit of pull. And the reason is when you build good relationships and you build good interaction, good customer service, and you are known for something, it means more business for you and more customers. So essentially what branding does, it helps tell the story of that individual. And so with personal branding, if you're a doctor or a chiropractor or a plumber, it's good to have a personal brand, because everything you do, you're going to be known for that. So if you're excellent, you're an excellent plumber and you do a really good job, or you own a company that provides a really great service, you want to be known for that. So it's really important to kind of establish that as a core. Now, you can't always fully control a brand, because a brand is kind of internal. It's what's perceived of that company, but you can steer it in the right direction. So building a brand and molding a brand early on, thinking about your goals and you know your vision for your company, can really mold that brand going further.
So, what's your process in helping someone discover their brand when you start from the ground up?
My process is first to try to find out their goals. What's their vision for the company? How do they want to grow? What are the things that sets them apart from everyone else? Who do they want to target? Who are they? What kind of prospects they're looking for? So it's really the initial stage. So you know, you talk about having the importance of having a business plan, but more importantly, having a brand plan is important. Because once you know all these questions and you identify yourself and you can say, I'm such and such person, and I, you know, this is my mission, this is who I am, this is my elevator pitch, this is how I sell myself, then you know you can really go out there and stand behind what you do and really set yourself apart from everyone else.
Okay. Mention for me, if you would, a few of the corporate brands that you think really excel, so that because we identify with, you know, I'll throw one out there. We identify with Nike and the swoosh. I mean,
Yes.
who else has a strong corporate brand, and then how do we translate that to a personal brand?
Okay, so somebody who has a strong personal brand would be Apple. I don't know if you've seen many times the Think Different
Yeah.
commercial, you know, and so they've identified themselves as, you know, as different, and they have a, you know, a strong, a quality product, and you know, you even think about the interaction with their customer base. You know, you come into the store, there's not even one register at an Apple store. The registers are built in underneath the tables, you know. So everybody's holding a mobile phone with their, you know, that can swipe credit cards, you know. So it's all about the interaction and you know, so you think of Apple, and Apple just has, you know, it embodies all of that. And then you can think of countless others, Starbucks. I mean, just the coffee house nature of it. You go in there, you know, they know your name, you know, it smells like a coffee house. It has a culture of a coffee house. Yeah, and there's plenty others. I mean, you know, you can think of, you know, going down the line of food and service. I would say, you know, Chipotle has you know, phenomenal way of presenting the food, and you walk through and it's the experience, and that adds to branding. So it's not. So when you talk about branding, you know, there's both the visual and the non-visual component of it, but and the visual component is, you know, is what people think of it, but it's also the non-visual. It's the experience. So and how that relates to personal branding. So with personal branding, you want to be known for something, and you want to stand out, and you know, if you do a good job, you know, people are going to come to you regardless because they see you as the expert in that certain field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even a leader, because you know the name of our show here is Leader Be Led.
Yes.
A leader can discover their own personal brand and can lead in that style of branding. And I know often leaders of large organizations look at branding and they look at marketing and they say, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between branding and marketing?
Well, branding is like long term. It's, you know, it's building that relationship, and it's longer term. It's almost pull, right? So if you like a good brand, say like Apple or Nike, you're gonna, you know, talk about it to your friends and your families, and it's almost a viral thing. Whereas marketing is just a push. So marketing is just a sales initiative. You're pushing out, an idea out to the world, and you're not receiving anything back. It's branding comes before and after marketing, and branding is made, and a brand doesn't say buy me, marketing does.
Right.
And the branding kind of explains who you are, what your values are, why are you different, and then it says, buy me.
Yeah, yeah.
know,
In essence, marketing is eggs for 99 cents, and branding is, country white chickens sitting on soft, feathery beds of hay, laying eggs to bring to your breakfast table, right?
Precisely. It's more
Yeah,
strategic, where marketing is a little bit tactical. So think of branding as winning the war, and marketing, you might win the battle,
gotcha.
but it's just one portion of it.
So does branding have as specific an ROI as marketing does?
Absolutely. Branding has a huge ROI, and the reason is, it's a long-term thing, but it creates loyalty, and most importantly, I mean, if you're a small business, more likely than none, you're the proprietor of that business, and you're doing the daily interaction with the customer. But once you get larger, you have to establish some kind of loyalty and trust between your employees and the customers. A good way of doing that is through branding, and that's why it's there's a high rate of ROI with branding, because you're actually creating loyalty over a long period of time.
Right. And we've all seen very successful branding. I'll throw a few more out. Coca-Cola, you mentioned Starbucks, you mentioned Apple, Pepsi, big brands like that. But what are some of the mistakes that brands make, and especially, brands like you or I, where we're not a big nationally known organization, but our personal brand is extremely important? What are some of those mistakes that people make?
So the first mistake is thinking that it's not necessary. That it's for the big guys.
Yeah.
It's for Coca-Cola. It's for Nike. I'm a small guy. I'm a small shop. I don't need to be thinking about that. It's going to cost me an arm and a leg. I don't want to spend that.
Right.
But in hindsight, what are so those are kind of the mistakes, or the kind of thinking that they might have. But it's more importantly about establishing the story, and getting the right cast and the props, and telling your story effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a small guy, how can you tell your story most effectively out in the marketplace? How can you stand out?
Mm-hmm.
How can I differentiate myself from someone else, and be visible, and make an impact?
Right.
Thinking about those questions is why you're in business.
Yeah.
So if you do the same thing as someone else, and you're not setting yourself apart, you're not really a leader. You're a follower.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just doing the Me Too scenario.
Right.
So when you set yourself apart, and you know how to value branding, you're really setting yourself up for the future, and achieving your goals and your vision for your company.
So if you can break it down for us as we come towards the close of our time together. I'm sitting watching this this video someplace around the U.S. First of all, can I contact you, Hugo, for
Yes.
branding? Do we have to be sitting next to each other or across from each other in a room?
No, absolutely. You can contact me. You can email me, and we can start off with a consultation, just to try to figure out what is your situation, what are your goals, how do you want to achieve, what who is your market, who's your target market. Try to find out everything that you can possibly find out, and then really narrow down what can we do to improve the current things that you do have, whether it's your logo, whether it's your website, whether it's your marketing material, and just really kind of understand, that, it's a process, and that we're going to move forward and try to either redesign something or try to put a little bit more of meaning behind your marketing, and really understand your personal brand.
So if I'm going to go to somebody outside of Hugo, and I can't imagine why anybody would want to do that, but if I want to go to someone outside of Hugo, what am I looking for in someone who's going to help me out with the brand? Am I going to the local quick print shop? Am I going to where am I going to go to find someone to help me with branding?
Well, first of all, there's nobody.
Nobody better than
No.
Hugo. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'd probably be going to somebody who understands strategic thinking behind, a company. Because after all, if you're just going after, a graphic designer or a print shop, it's the one and done shops. They're gonna design something for you, and they're not really gonna think about, what the output is, or why is it important for you to do something, what's the strategy, what's the thinking behind it, how to elevate it to the next level. So go to somebody who's really looking out for your benefit, and really wants to be a partner. You know, having I'm a sole proprietor. I want to build relationships opposed to and partners, opposed to the one and done jobs.
Right. Right.
So that's who I would probably be looking for.
Okay, great. And I know we have a slide with Hugo's information that we could put on the screen for our viewers to see, to get in touch with Hugo. Here's his information for you if you would like to get in touch with him to talk about your personal brand or your company's brand. Hugo has done branding jobs for small and very, very large companies and startups and everything in between. So I urge you to give him a call or send him an email or check out his website, which is absolutely a beautiful website, and learn more about Hugo. So with that, Hugo, I am going to thank you very much for being officially our second guest here on Leader Be Led.
Thank you.
And we look forward to talking to you more.
Thanks.
Thanks.